want to take a moment to welcome everyone to the Watch This Shit podcast. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. My name is Seneca, the movie professor. With this podcast, we're going to give you the definitive decision on whether you should go see a new movie or not. It's real easy. If we say, watch this shit, go out and enjoy some good cinema. If we say, don't watch this shit, avoid it as you would going on an emotional journey in your mind and discovering your childhood imaginary friend again. Or don't. You can do what you want. It may be fun, or you may find yourself hiding your tears in the theater. RIP Bing Bong. You want to listen to us, you put your life in your own hands. If, pun intended, you had a blender that could make a concoction out of the properties and you put in Monsters Inc., Gumball, and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, the resulting smoothie would be today's movie. They were not shy, nor tried to hide the fact that they straight up ripped off these other IPs. I have not seen such a blatant attempt at pop culture thievery outside of Asylum films. Now, companies just let them do whatever they want to do because I'm guessing it would be too much work to prove that shit isn't a parody. But here, today's movie, they play it completely straight. On top of all that, this shit released in wide distribution in theaters. They are so bold. I mean, bold, bold. Let's see if the old adage of good artists borrow, but great artists still holds true when we review If Wishes Were Fishes, We'd All Be Fat. The name of the movie is If, but the title is so bland, it doesn't lend itself well to the typical naming conventions we use here. If, which is the name these magical creatures go by abbreviating imaginary friends into an annoying ass acronym. They are magical beings that come into existence when children need them, whether it be to get them through a difficult time in their family, hardships in school, or illness. Once a child creates this pretend being, they stick with them until they are no longer needed. When they have served their purpose, they join a coalition of other ifs that work to try and find new kids to bond with and help. If they are unable to get placed, they eventually fade into obscurity, cease to exist. It's not exactly clear or even the time frame it would take for this whatever is going to happen. A little girl named B is experiencing a very trying time in her life, a time that leads her to be able to see all the ifs as if she's being set up to help them find new kids to assist. Is she truly being set up to be the caretaker of these forgotten friends? Or is there a more sinister motive at hand? Since starting this podcast, I don't think we've reviewed a Ryan Reynolds movie. Hmm. I haven't brought him up. I haven't given my opinion on him. So, here we go. The story starts as you expect. I used to hate this motherfucker's acting. He, his acting, I'm going to say he, but his acting was so swarmy. I began avoiding his movies. Now, fast forward to the year that he played a crazy man that was torn between the good and bad voices that came from his dog and cat, respectively, and a movie with him acting inside of a casket for the entire runtime. I saw these films and said, "Oh shit, he can really act." Not sure where where this was all this time, but he can do the job. After that, I've been warm on a lot of his projects. Not all, as he does often fall back into that initial personality that got him famous, which may be his real personality, but it seems very condescending and asshole esque. So I'm hoping that's not really who he is, but it doesn't matter. I'm never going to meet him. But him being from Canada, I thought those niggas were polite. Let this be a lesson. Polite is not the same as kind. For his current role, because as much as John Krasinski is credited as directing and writing, we'll get to him in a moment. Reynolds is called to carry a large portion of the weight of this film. We are not typically used to Reynolds being the straight man. There is so much wacky shit going on around him that he is often the only voice of reason we have. His co star The child actor, Kaylee Fleming, is the point of entry character, but he is the one that's knowledgeable. He's the let me give this exposition and master magic system explaining character, which does not play to his strengths. When Reynolds is more subdued performance, not saying you can't play people against type, right? Sometimes it really works out. Look at Training Day. But Reynolds doesn't have the range to pull off the wise old mentor role yet. It just didn't work for me. John Krasinski reunites with Steve Carell. Unfortunately for us, it's not an office reunion. Also, unfortunately for us, you only get Steve Carell using that dumpy ass groove voice. And again, unfortunately for us, Krasinski is so busy directing, he's barely in the film. I think he has the ability to be a good director, but he is also the only credit on the writing staff. Not like A Quiet Place. He directed and he had partners to help him with the writing duties. He was one of three people that wrote. He needed that here as well. The story, it had potential. You can see the vision. I went into this film fully expecting to get an inside out emotional response. And then nothing. The film barely held my attention. The kids in the theater I was in, they were also not entertained, leading me to ask myself, who is this for? Like I said, Carell is doing his groove voice from Despicable Me for the character Blue, not to be confused with Blue from Foster's Home, and not to be confused with the color blue as the character is big and purple. Maybe they colored him purple so he didn't look exactly like Sully from Monsters Inc. This character is annoying as hell from his very first introduction. He never has that, aw, he's like this because he's so sweet, or his kid needed him to be this way to get through whatever difficult time they were going through in their life. No, he just speaks in that annoying tone, and I can't think of anything of substance he added to the tale. Fleming has been in some shit. She was young Ray Skywalker, or is it Ray Skywalker? I can't believe I said that. I didn't write it, but I said it. They really made that lady Skywalker. Anyway, she played Rey in the most recent set of Star Wars movies. She was Judith Grimes in Walking Dead. Now, this was, of course, long after I stopped watching the show. It was in a steep decline, and I had to get up out of there. I think she's gonna be all right. Here in this film, she was okay. Her character is pretty damn dry, straight up. They had a moment, they had a chance to go into the mental instability or the use of this dissociative personality disorder to keep herself mentally stable. But no, they just played it as if it was legitimately happening, I guess. No ambiguity. Ambiguity. Why can't I say that word? Ambiguity. I knew I could do it. No, no black swan. Oh, this is all in her head moments. He really needed some help on a rewrite. This could have been an in-depth look into the topics of grief, re-experiencing the same situation again, trying to escape the pressure when the pressure gets turned up too high. So, this is what happened. Her character lost her mom, and the events of the story pick up with her dad, Krasinski, in the hospital, possibly with a life-ending condition. She just she just did this with her mom, and the stress puts her in the mind state to start seeing these imaginary beings. In order to escape the hard ass situation that she's going through, she focuses on an easier task, getting these guys hooked up with kids in need. They just don't take it far enough. It was right there. They just played it far too safe. I know John wanted to do a story that he could play for his kids. He said this. But kids can handle much more than we give them credit for handling, especially if you make it obscure. The feeling will still be there, and they won't understand it for a long time. They won't know what happened. Think of it this way. How many people were impacted by our track sinking into the bog, later realizing that the damn horse gave up to hopelessness on their quest and resigned himself to accepting death? When you were a kid, you didn't know a horse could get depressed, but he sure as hell did, and he sure as hell did die. RIP our tracks. The character design of the ifs, straight up ripoffs of other things in children's media. I already talked about Blue or Blue. Why would I do that? You can't see how I'm writing this shit. They're homonyms. The first one is BLUE. The second one is BLOO. Little side fact on myself. I fucking love homonyms. Okay. But then they have a banana guy that's straight up stolen from Gumball, a Cartoon Network show where characters can pop up in so many forms with no rhyme or reason. It's a good show. There's a black and white character that looks like the old Betty Boop rubber hole style cartoons, played by the lady from Fleabag. I really like that show. A My Little Pony type unicorn, a raccoon superhero with a disposition strikingly similar to Rocket of Guardians, a bear that looks like an old ass Paddington. I could go on, but you get the point. They stole the hell out of these designs. They pulled a fucking Pal World. These ain't Pokemans. These are called pals. Bitch, that's the same thing. They are animated okay, I guess, but nothing revolutionary. This ain't Planet of the Apes. Then, of course, they pull every celebrity voice they can and throw it at the movie. Why do they think that makes? Ugh, ugh. Get voice actors, not actors. Tired of telling y'all this shit. If Chris Pratt voiced one more animated character, I'm going to lose it. Now, he wasn't in this film, but we'll be discussing him in about 2 reviews from now. This is the list, the short list. Louis Gossett Jr. The fuck? George Clooney, Bradley Cooper, Matt Damon, Bill Hader, Michael Key, Blake Lively, Sam Rockwell, Maya Rudolph, Aquafina. Stop. I'm saying stop as in stop with Aquafina's voice casting. I'm tired of her too. But also stop, and I'm not naming the rest of these motherfuckers. Yeah, that wasn't the complete list. I could have kept going. Let me move on to final verdict. Don't watch this shit. This was a mediocre, bland story that did not explore any of the themes that they hinted at. All surface level stuff. But there's not anything necessarily wrong with surface level if it's done well and entertaining. This was neither of those. Your kiddos won't even sit still long enough for you to get a break if you put this on at home because it's so boring. The Next Quiet Place does not see Krasinski return as director, and he is listed as one of the actors. Hopefully, either he writes the hell out of that one or he is just listed as he started that movie universe. Whew. Thank you for listening to another episode of Watch This Shit. You come here for the realest take on new movies. So make sure to follow us so you're not left in the dark on whether you should check out a new movie or not. If you haven't seen this shit yet, go on about your life. Don't even worry about it. Matter of fact, you're doing good. Damn, you're doing good. Check us out next time when we review Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. And good day to you.